Not the Snakehead film I thought I'd be covering on this channel first, but hey, maybe that will be a good thing? Or not. SnakeHead Swamp is a 2014 made-for-TV animal horror film directed by Don E. Fauntleroy, with writing being handled by Greg Mitchell. Don actually has a pretty stacked history of being support on films, namely around the camera. He even worked on that film. Doesn't mean something can't shine through the muck, as our film takes place in a little swamp. A truck carrying genetically enhanced snakeheads has crashed. This releases them all into the local swamp, where our meat fodder is drinking. Something more lurks in the swamp, something old and evil. Because a movie about giant killer fish wasn't enough. Throw on some Sam B. It's time to find out who do you voodoo.
This truck has got blood all in it. There's more containers in a big container too that's all busted open.
Well, it starts off as you'd expect, with some voodoo. But enough of that, it's time for Raw, played by Kurt Krause, and I'm not really sure. They're out transporting some goods. Some not very secure goods. So with the boy dead and the creatures on the move and the voodoo man freaking out, the van crashes, leaving our unnamed driver alone and soon dead. No! Smash cut to a lovely wedding where our couple is married, much to the dismay of Chris Hardin, played by Dave Davis. While they never outright say, I guess he showed up to the wedding of the girl he wanted. Well, at least he has Ashley, played by Ayla Kell, who is here to not only remind him of his brother's death at the hands of the swamp, but also to invite him to a boat party on the swamp with a guy he doesn't get along with. Why don't you just give him the revolver with 6 shots loaded and tell him to play vodka Russian roulette?
Alright.
Okay, you will not regret this.
I regret it already.
Right, so what's happening with that truck again?
The danger just getting started.
Okay, so our state troopers are here investigating, and that's about it. We have to get more characters out of the way, namely Terry Garber as Carly, the local sheriff. There's also Marge, played by Peaches Davis. Well, there's complaints of dynamite fishing, but I'm not the game warden, so let's jump on down to the boats, where we meet our drunk duo as well as our future body bag occupants. Ian Davis, played by Ross Britts, is a jerk. His, I think, girlfriend Sam, played by Melissa Cordio, and the underage girl, who has a crush on Chris, Carrie, played by Sloane Coe. Also, let's get out some more background about the sheriff being Chris's mother, and her filing for divorce against Dad. Look, Mom, I might not be in high school, or college age, or something, so give me some space, and let me get dragged along with people I hate to a location I despise and there might be explosives on board. He's gonna commit fucking suicide. Honestly, if this movie turned into a teenage suicide prevention film, I wouldn't be surprised.
I can't get the cat on.
Though given his age, I would kinda hope he'd be able to get the cap off. Is the jumping around getting to you? Well, Voodoo Man isn't Sam B, but instead William Bordeaux, played by Antonio Fargas. He's in the graveyard to communicate with the spirits of someone long dead.
It's war then.
Right. So this film was about killer snakes, right? How's our Super Trooper duo? Well, now it's a solo act and oof. That's some rough CGI even for 2014. Remember that Dragonstorm was a full decade ago. With our dynamic duo down, the Wish.com duo show up to report the crashed vehicle to the sheriff.
Yeah, I think Marguerite's getting pretty riled up.
Okay, you steer clear.
But hey, reporting is more than enough. Time to head out and check their lines or something. I'm not really sure what they're doing. So what are our taxpayers cosplaying party kids up to? Drinking, stripping, and diving. Good thing that Hatchet fellow isn't hanging around here. Are they still making those films? The last one I saw was not good. Just like what our drunkards are seeing is not good, with their gaiters torn to shreds and something in the water approaching.
Get your hand out of there. Get your hand out of there.
What's the matter?
And despite very clear, the most clear he speaks in the entire film, and repeated multiple times, he in fact does not pull his hand out. instead being taken overboard and chomped down on by the snakeheads that swarm him. Gotta say, even his friend must agree he's too dumb to live. That or he's equally dumb as he pumps a rifle with no pump. It's a bolt action. The bolt for the action of loading a round is right there. Am I in the wrong for still expecting people to understand the basics of firearms? Typically you have something to pump, this is just jerking off the weapon. It might like you a bit more, but it won't do much to whatever you're shooting at. Well, in other news, I discovered Ashley is actually Ian's girlfriend, which makes it awkward. He's getting real flirty with Sam and Carrie, especially Carrie, the in-movie lore underage Carrie, who he's currently trying to get drunk. Oh, thank goodness, a jump scare. Ignore how he survived being the water was filled with snakes, but know this, his name must be Cassandra, because not one of these people will believe him.
We gotta leave. We gotta leave. Gotta get out.
Though most of that dismissal comes from Ian reminding us he's the jackass. You know, I know better than to hate the actor for playing a role, and he's okay for the film he's in. But whereas Jack Gleason played Joffrey extremely well and had good writing for his character, Ian is just a poorly written jackass. Eventually, he's going to lead to half the death count for this group. So anyways, from a fight he started, Carrie is now fish food. I realize I have to try and play with idiotic copyright, so this video is not blocked, but just to be perfectly clear, in the 10 seconds of everything happening, Drunk says constantly they need to leave. Ian says no, so Drunk tries to start the engine. Ian punches him, starting the chain of events to Carrie dying. Also, he could agree they need to leave, and now the propeller is caught up in something. At least the body count is picking up, I have that. Also, did you forget about the spiritual subplot? Because it's still going. As Will discovers the bones aren't there in that well-maintained grave, which I feel he should have already known, unless the spirit of Marguerite possessed them and moved them somewhere else. Look, it's the halfway point and these plots are getting spread out, so let's start tying them up. For example, Jim, played by Anthony Marble, meets up with his wife, as does State Trooper Mark, played by Han Soto. After getting a crash course on snakehead outbreaks by our community college teacher, it's revealed a new outbreak happened, one that an R&D team tried to sterilize.
The serum they used made the fish more aggressive, bolder, and smarter.
Somehow, this went from no kids to giant killer creatures. You know, you could have just told me it was a government weapons program that broke loose. Honestly, less silly. Also, thanks for the flashback scenes. I get this was made for TV, but the commercial breaks were not that long. So time to kid up and cut back to the drama club on the boat. You know they made a whole point about the things being capable of coming up on land? There was a whole slaughter I skipped over. The boat is right up against land. Makes you wonder why they either aren't running or why the creatures aren't coming up to meet them. No, instead they're trying to sink the boat. Luckily Ian has some dynamite. But we'll have to wait on that explosive reveal, as we need moments of couple therapy along with slicing up snakeheads. Oh, and Will is back in the plot to tell us about the curse and how it's the cause. How it was the cause for genetically altered snakeheads. Okay, it's all rather fishy. The dynamite being dropped are done by our drunk friend, who somehow manages to not only fall over the boat, but also drop dynamite on the vessel. You know what? It's fine. Our crew flee for the house they spotted. Also, Will shows up to the spot he was earlier, only now somehow telling Marguerite is there. But he's gotta fuck off and go back to his place to pick up some things. Well, at least the film is trying to redeem Ian as he rushes over to help Chris to his feet. Getting inside the house, they agree to barricade the place. Ian tells everyone they need to kill those things, and Chris tells everyone to look for weapons.
Ian's right, okay? We gotta barricade the house. We gotta make sure it's secure.
What did you say, nigga?
Look, I don't remember making you leader. Now, we can work together, but I'm not taking orders from you.
He's an asshole.
Writing assholes is an art form, and very few can do it right. Also, shock of shocks, but this house is home to Will, complete with an open-door garage and radio. Failing every stealth check, Ian and Sam are forced to flee, and with plenty of time to spare, Ian manages to hold the door closed, trapping Sam. Why? At least she gets a stab through the door slit before becoming an afternoon snack. Well, hey, it's high time this curse got explained, and Will is the man to do it. He is the descendant of Marguerite, some sort of healer who the local Haitians loved, but for some reason was executed for some reason. They don't actually give an answer, but the swamp turns mean after her death. So Voodoo Man's plan to stop all of this is to recover her and end the curse. But you've been there twice. You acknowledge she was there the second time. This is all continuing to happen because you refuse to end it. Or take the ranger lady because you made a whole thing about how she needs to be the one. Well, at least he doesn't believe Ian's bullshit, which Ian takes personally along with taking him hostage. Also, he can ask him how to stop it, and get the same damn answer. Oh, and the parents showed up alongside a couple of fish.
Somebody's gotta kill these things.
No, you don't get to give the good guy hero line. You've been nothing but a jackass with inconsistent dialogue shifts and a moronic mindset. Also, all that dynamite does is break some drywall over the ranger's head. I swear, this is the moment IQs hit the lowest point. Everyone is yelling, everyone is annoying, the woman had the lightest shit possible fall on her, and she's a 5'3", 140-pound woman. You two able-bodied men, lift the bitch and move! In the final 20 minutes of the movie, they do what they've established could and should have been done, with Ashley and Mom running for the bones, while Chris does battle with Ian on a boat. Dad is there to save him from a snakehead, but not the fist fight, which ironically ends with him falling overboard. Also, hey, Trooper Mark! What's that? The National Guard is off screen fighting the fish? Well, that sounds pretty cool. And they plan on firebombing the swamp? I figured they required a 72-hour period. Anything else?
Raided these fish? Apparently, there's something worse that was on that truck than just these snakeheads.
Something worse, huh? Well, when finding the bones and dropping a bag of voodoo powder, we see it's a bigger fish. I mean, I guess that's worse. It is bulletproof, but because this swamp is a circle, they end up back where he dropped the flare gun, and also a handy-dandy gas lamp. Turns out the creature was weak to elemental damage. Being released May 5th, 2014 in the States, it would have a final internet premiere in Poland June 15th, 2020. While I couldn't find much, the film may have been made on a budget of 65,000 USD, sort of explains why the CGI was so shit at times, though any scene of the fish swimming with their tops exposed wasn't the worst. The film was shot in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, so there's a chance this was once a gator flick. All in all, Snakehead Swamp is very confusing. For starters, the whole subplot of the curse really didn't add anything. It feels so far removed for the majority of the film, with random cuts to William doing his own thing. Despite him insisting it's to blame, we never see anything remotely supernatural occur that would lead to the events. The van crashing was caused by a container breaking and the fish attacking. Perhaps if some sort of figure caused the initial swerve, resulting in the break, it might have fit better. What is annoying is that the character of Will happens upon the sight of her bones twice, acknowledging she's there the second time, but decides to do nothing with this until he passes the job on to the ranger, or more so Ashley, who is the only one, besides Chris, he even tells about the powder. It's an unnecessary plot that just lingers and lingers with no real resolution. Oh, you dropped a packet on it. All good, but it doesn't change the fact there are still bloodthirsty fish killing people. Now on top of this, the acting is pretty bad. Some do their job, but I feel like the writing just hurts any chance the actors had. Ian is essentially bipolar with how much he shifts. While at first he was just a basic jerk, they had to pull reasons for his actions out of thin air. I'm ragging on him, but this problem extends to everyone. The couple dialogue feels like forced backstory, and honestly the only actor that was fine was Mark, who is barely in the film. The CGI sucks, save for some very brief moments of the fish swimming around in the water where we only see the top of them. So in total, the film is very uneven and feels padded. Somehow, the film is just about an hour 30, yet feels like 3 hours. Do yourself a favor and stay out of this swamp. This is TEMU Frankenfish. Stick to the classics and don't look back. The only head this snake can give me is a heading out of the swamp.
Marguerite got it out especially for betrayers.